Well, we all seek purpose in our life, and we want to be part of something really great, don't we? And last year I heard a story about a saint that I want to share with you today. Her name is Saint Katherine Drexel. She is an American saint. She was born in 1858, and she died in 1955. She lived to 97 years old. She was born in Philadelphia to a very wealthy family. She had two other sisters, and by the time she was in her mid-20s, both of her parents died and left a fortune of $12.5 million in 1880s, which was a lot of money. Immediately, 10% of that went to charities, and then the rest of it went to the three girls. And so at the time, the interest on their inheritance was about $1,000 a day, which in today's terms would be like $25,000 to $30,000 a day. And so her parents had taught her that this wealth is entrusted to us to be used for the common good and to help people that suffer. And she was a very devout young lady. She considered entering religious life, but she was kind of hesitant about that. And then she went over to Europe to travel around, and eventually she made her way to Rome. And there she met the Pope at the time, who was Pope Leo XIII. And she had on her heart something to ask the Holy Father. She had found out about the plight of the Native Americans. She said, we need people to help them. So she told the Pope, would you please send missionaries to help these poor people? And he told her, why don't you do it? And that threw her all into confusion. And she went home, she kept praying about it, and she decided that she would do that. And so St. Katherine Drexel, with a huge inheritance, decided to become a religious sister and to take on a vow of poverty. And she founded the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament to help the Native Americans, also the African Americans, especially those who had been recently freed from slavery. And she did that work for the rest of her life, for the rest of her 97 years. And by the end of her life, she had founded like 100 missions and 65 schools, including a university in New Orleans, all with the gift of her parents' inheritance. And she didn't spend a single penny on herself because she took that vow of poverty. Why did she do it? Because she had found the pearl of great price. She had found that hidden treasure, and she sold everything. She gave up everything to have it. And that's what Jesus talks to us about in the gospel today. He says the kingdom is like that pearl. The kingdom is like that hidden treasure. And it's something that we are all called to seek for, all called to find and to give of ourselves to have it. We know that it costs a lot. That's what it says. The man sells all that he has to buy the pearl. He sells all that he has to buy that field with the treasure in it. But the reward is also very great. It is a pearl of great price. It is a hidden treasure. But we also hear that the two guys come about it in different ways. The merchant, it looks like he's searching for a very long time until he finds that pearl. The other man seems to kind of stumble upon it as he's walking through a field. But that's the way it is in God's providence. Some people discover this very simply, the pearl of great price, the kingdom, the gospel, Jesus himself. Other people, it is a long, tedious search, but God's ways are the best. That's what St. Paul tells us, that all things work out for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And so we are all called to count the cost and to realize what it's going to take to purchase that pearl of great price, that treasure hidden in the field. And it's always more than we expect, but we always receive more than we expect as well. That's part of our baptism. There are some people, though, who are called to higher perfection. People like St. Katherine Drexel, when Jesus said to the rich young man in the gospel, if you want to be perfect, go sell what you have, give to the poor, and come follow me. And so there are some people that are called to take on what we call the evangelical counsels, to promise poverty, chastity, and obedience for their life. These are those we call the consecrated religious. There are religious sisters, nuns, we have religious brothers, monks, friars, all of those sorts of things. And they take on these vows because they seek truly to give themselves totally. And this is a higher calling. It's something that not everyone is called to, but it's something that's worth promoting and telling people, maybe your life can be a gift and you can give yourself in this way. I have a classmate from high school. He became a Dominican friar and a priest, and I know lots of young ladies that have entered the religious life, and they're all very happy because when you give yourself completely to God, like the pearl, you receive so much more. And so we should encourage those young people who are considering what to do in their life. Maybe this is your call. Maybe you're called to give up everything and to follow the Lord and to receive so much in return. And we can tell them about the example of St. Katherine Drexel. In the year 2000, when she was canonized as saint by St. John Paul II, at the Mass for canonization, he said during his homily that he hoped that her example, the example of St. Katherine Drexel, would inspire, in particular, young people to see that there is no greater treasure than following Jesus and being generous with him and giving of your resources for the good of others. And so today we can think about that. We have a pearl of great price in Jesus in the kingdom, and we should give whatever it takes to buy that pearl, that treasure, and encourage other people to do so as well.